Imagine waking up in a world without hospitals, clean water, or reliable food, where death could arrive before breakfast and the night promises frost and hunger in equal measure. This was England during the Dark Ages, roughly between the 5th and 11th centuries, a time so brutal and unyielding that historians still marvel at how anyone survived at all. Diseases spread unchecked, winters were merciless, and even the simplest tasks, fetching water, preparing a meal, walking to market, carried mortal risk. Yet somehow people endured. How they managed it remains shrouded in mystery, buried beneath layers of time, misinterpretation, and legend. Imagine the ingenuity required to navigate daily life, where a single injury could become fatal, and every step outdoors demanded awareness of unseen threats, disease, marauders, starvation. It was not bravery that guaranteed survival, nor strength alone. It was knowledge, observation, and sheer adaptability passed quietly from parent to child, skills honed not for comfort, but for life itself. As we peer into this shadowed past, we realize the ordinary world of Dark Age England was a crucible, and survival was the rarest triumph. Understanding it forces us to confront how fragile life once was and how much we take for granted today. Life in Dark Age England was dictated by scarcity, climate, and constant instability. Most communities were small, agrarian and isolated, clustered around meagre farmland or river valleys. Winters were harsh, summers unreliable, and famine a frequent companion. Crops failed, livestock died, and stored grain was vulnerable to rodents, moisture, or theft. Clean drinking water was rare, and even minor infections could kill. Homes were constructed from timber or wattle and daub, with thatched roofs and earthen floors, offering minimal protection from cold, rain, and pests. Heat came from a single hearth, often shared with animals, while smoke filled every corner. Disease was endemic. Measles, dysentery, smallpox, and plague claimed thousands silently, while malnutrition weakened resilience. Life expectancy hovered around 35, and childhood mortality was catastrophic. Yet people adapted. They built community networks to share food, firewood, and labour. They learned which plants could feed and heal. They timed planting and harvesting to seasons and lunar cycles. Their survival strategies were subtle and deeply practical, a combination of observation, experimentation, and oral knowledge passed across generations. Without written instruction or centralized support, humans in this era became masters of improvisation, crafting systems that allowed existence in a world that actively sought to destroy them. The ingenuity of Dark Age survival was hidden in mundane practices that modern minds often overlook. Fire management was crucial. Hearths were not just for cooking, but for warmth, drying clothing, and purifying water. Peat, wood, and dung were carefully rationed to last through long winters. Food preservation relied on salting, smoking, fermenting, or burying in cool earth. Every calorie mattered, and waste was intolerable. Clothing was layered and patched endlessly, made to retain heat, even when wet. Communities understood disease intuitively. Wells were placed away from livestock. Sick family members were isolated when possible, and herbal remedies were applied with experience-driven precision. Travel and labour followed rhythms dictated by sunlight and weather. Knowing when to plant, hunt, or fetch water could mean life or death. Skills such as tracking game, foraging for edible plants, or purifying water were not hobbies. They were survival tools. And yet, this knowledge was almost entirely oral. Mistakes were fatal, success invisible. Modern systems obscure how much daily life depended on continuous decision-making and adaptation, making the fact that people survived at all remarkable. The hidden logic was a complex dance between observation, resource management, and communal cooperation, executed under constant pressure from a hostile environment. Today, we live in comfort, insulated from the raw threats that shaped human behavior for millennia. Yet the lessons of Dark Age survival remain surprisingly relevant. In situations of disaster, blackout, or food scarcity, the principles of efficient resource use, fire management, water hygiene, and community cooperation still dictate survival. Simple rules once learned through hardship: layer clothing, preserve food, concentrate warmth, work together, resurface in modern emergency preparedness. We now have technology to reduce risk, but it cannot replace instinct and practical knowledge. Studying Dark Age practices reminds us that convenience breeds fragility. Our systems hide the true cost of survival, yet in moments of collapse, medieval strategies offer tested solutions. The past also highlights adaptability as a survival skill. Humans endured extreme uncertainty because they observed patterns, acted collectively, and responded quickly to environmental threats. These lessons are timeless, demonstrating that knowledge, ingenuity, and cooperation are more valuable than raw strength, and that even in the harshest conditions, survival is possible with careful attention to systems and detail. The enduring mystery of Dark Age England is not only how people survived, but how tenuous that survival truly was. Every day was a balance between scarcity and sustenance, exposure and warmth, life and death. Modern imagination often romanticizes the era with knights, castles, and legends, but the reality was relentless struggle and constant vigilance. What kept people alive was not heroism or technology, but careful observation, practical ingenuity, and community networks built over generations. Today, recognizing this fragility reminds us of our own dependence on complex systems and how easily comfort can vanish. History teaches that survival is learned, preserved, and adapted, often quietly and invisibly. The Dark Ages were brutal, but they also revealed the resilience of the human spirit and the intelligence embedded in daily practice. By understanding these ancient survival strategies, we gain not only appreciation for the past, but insight into how to endure uncertainty in our own lives. Life is precious, knowledge is power, and the lessons from the shadowed centuries of England continue to whisper, waiting for those who listen carefully.